Hey everyone, thanks so much for clicking on the video. I just got done watching the Xbox E3 briefing or media conference that was about an hour and a half long, and I have some thoughts on it. Now I'm not going to go over the whole thing because it was about an hour and a half, but I want to share some highlights and some takeaways on what was announced during the conference and what I found particularly interesting. But if I had to boil down everything to just about 4 phrases, it'd be probably indie games, release dates, expectations, and hardware. Let's go over all 4. Starting with release dates, we got a few looks at some already announced games, but some premieres too. Ori Will of the Wisp, for example, got a release date of February 11th, 2020, and it's shaping up to be the sequel that many of us have been looking forward to. Most importantly for me is that the game is looking to actually run better. So I actually got a hands-on with the game last year and did a preview video for it, so if you want to check that out, it's linked in the description down below. But what makes me excited about this particular trailer is that it looks like it's actually running better now. The frame rate issues that were there last year seem to be at least polished out. This new trailer also features some more of that 3D into 2D art that I love so much. Word on the street is that it's supposed to be coming out to the Nintendo Switch too, but let's see how that rumor pans out on Tuesday with the Nintendo Direct. Minecraft Dungeons also got an announcement, which is essentially just the new game from Mojang that combines Minecraft with Diablo. The combination of the art style and the IP seemed to perfectly match the style of gameplay. I wasn't too into the Minecraft story mode games, but this genuinely caught my eye, and with it coming to Xbox, Switch, and PS4, I think it's going to be something that's worth looking into for just about anyone. It's coming out spring 2020. What I think a lot of people thought was originally Outlast 3 or some new Alan Wake game ended up being a Blair Witch game. Not a lot of details were said about the project other than it's coming out to both Xbox One and PC in August 2019. The game looks scary, and I hope we get to pet the dog in this one. Not much else to say besides that. We also got to look at the rumored From Software cross George R.R. Martin game. It's called Elden Rings, and it looks like a From Software game. They didn't really say much about the story or anything outside the cinematic trailer. If anything, it was a confirmation that the project exists, and that's it. I'm interested to hear more about it, but for the time being, my hype level was kinda low. Gears 5 finally got a release date of September 10th, and personally, that was really the only noteworthy thing about it. We got a new cinematic trailer for the survival mode, and that's about it. I definitely think they should have had a bigger focus on gameplay over cinematics. It's great to see Gears 5 again, but the execution could have been better. Oh, and this random expansion for Forza was announced, and get this, it's Legos. I unironically love the idea. I think Forza is cool, but I'm not much of a car person to be honest, and something as obscure, chaotic, and random as Lego is enough to catch my interest. It's coming later this year, and gamers already say that this is the last ghostly image you see before entering the gates of gamer heaven. Now the last 2 things I want to talk about in terms of release dates was Halo Infinite and Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2077 got a cinematic trailer that showed off some of the story bits along with the nighttime view of the city. As expected, it blew people away with its level of detail, but what I think shocked everyone was the fact that freaking Keanu Reeves is a character in the game. Best of all is that his character's name is Johnny. So I guess this makes Always Be My Maybe canon in this world, maybe? Anyway, you'll be able to explore this world starting on April 16th, 2020. Halo Infinite also got a brand new cinematic trailer that already looks like a better story than Halo 5 ever was. You get a glimpse at some of the minor story details behind the next installment in the series, and honestly I think without saying much, the trailer was able to give off that emotional vibe that this entry is going for, and outside of the gameplay, that's what we needed to see. Would gameplay have been great? Definitely, but seeing some of the highlights of the story gave me some hope for the next installment. It's coming to Xbox One and Project Scarlet in holiday 2020. Now moving on to indie games, this is what genuinely excited me the most during this conference. Spiritfarer was announced from the same team that worked on Sundered. I also reviewed that by the way, so if you want to check it out, link in the description. It has you playing as this girl with her pet cat as she manages her boat. Sounds fine, right? But what the real premise is that the boat is the home to the deceased as you manage them and the boat that's leading them to the afterlife. Now that's a really cool concept. The art style looks beautiful and the story behind it sounds fascinating. Can't wait to play this one next year. The Legend of Wright also got announced and it looks amazing. Imagine an RPG world completely crafted of elementary school notebooks. It's heavily inspired by tabletop RPGs and is being built by the Japanese indie studio Deskworks. I believe this is the studio's first game together, and if so, they knocked it out the park first try because it looks fantastic and I'm absolutely excited for it. These next 2 indie games are from Annapurna Interactive and only reinforce why they're easily becoming my favorite publisher of indie games. Don't worry, Devolver Digital, I still love you guys too. 12 Minutes is a game about a husband stuck in a 12-minute time loop, doomed to live the same terror over and over again. It's an interactive story that pushes you to notice the smaller details in the time loop as you break through it and change your future. It looks and sounds badass. It's coming to consoles and PC in 2020. The other game that was shown was A Way to the Woods. It's a game that has you play as a deer in the abandoned streets of Japan. You're set to look for shelter, food, and the answers as to what happened to humanity. Interesting story aside, I was initially captivated by the simple but cute art style of the environment. It's like playing as a deer in the streets of Kyoto, and I'm so ready to get my hands on it. Finally, there were the hardware/service announcements for Project xCloud and Project Scarlet. xCloud is Microsoft's cloud gaming service that is now also expanding to console streaming. So besides also doing streaming from Microsoft to your console, you'll also be doing streaming from your console to your own devices. This is Microsoft's take on PS4 Remote Play, but now expanded to Microsoft platforms. This will also be available for a test at E3, so if you want to see a video on it, let me know. I'll do my best to go ahead and cover it. But for the rest of the world, it's launching in October. Then there was Project Scarlet, the next generation of Xbox that's launching in holiday 2020. The new hardware is running on AMD Navi architecture with hardware accelerated ray tracing and GDDR6 memory. Now, while we didn't get specifics on the hardware, we got a lot of buzzwords that give it some slight comparison to the PS5, but you should take this stuff with a grain of salt. For example, you'll be able to run games at 120 frames per second at up to 8K resolution. While I don't think you should expect this for Halo Infinite, you'll most likely expect to see this out of smaller indie games. The same SSD technology that was hinted at for the PS5 was also hinted at here, revealing that loading times are a thing of the past for next gen. Now this reveal, although not jaw-dropping, gives a hint at what's expected out of the future, and I think that sort of encompasses the entire conference overall. Many of us, including myself, expected this Xbox conference to blow us away. Major game reveals, console information, maybe even a Nintendo collab. It wasn't that. We got some cool indies, some release dates, more looks on games that were already announced, and that's it. I don't think we needed more trailers for Outer Worlds or Star Wars again. That could have been replaced with something else to keep the things flowing. For example, what the hell happened to the Cuphead DLC or the graphics pack for Minecraft? Anyway, if I had to rate this conference out of 10, I would have given it an 8. I think it's a great conference. I thought a lot of solid information and announcements were shown, good indie games, details on the next hardware, services, as well as just looks on old and new games that were previously announced or unannounced. And I think that's a great show, but I don't think it lived up to the expectations that so many people had set on this conference. Microsoft was really hyping it up, Sony is missing, so a lot of that extra pressure that was shared between these two companies is solely on Microsoft. They have the platform to really deliver the first-party content, now all the third-party content that was previously also shown at Sony's conference, and they have a lot to deliver. They also kind of dug themselves a grave because they said this was going to be this amazing show that was going to blow you away. I don't think it did. I think it did a good job at showing off more information, but not necessarily jaw-dropping. Was it a good conference? Yes. Did it meet expectations? No.